This episode of the ZuLoo Pōōdcast is sponsored by ZuLoo Inc., a benefit corporation dedicated to the goal of universal access to toilets, hygiene, clean water and sanitation through the power of social enterprise. Learn more at ZuLoo.com.
It was a miracle. I was like, how did somebody even squat and get it on top of this? It was so tall.
I know.
I'm like, how are they getting it on? I was miraculous how they were getting it like on top.
Yeah.
Still, it must have been like a really tall guy, or they're like, oh, bring
it gets
bring the
higher
ladder. You're gonna need a ladder.
Welcome to the ZuLoo Pōōdcast, where we talk all things poop, toilets, and sanitation. Through insightful news, impact stories, and quirky humor, we aim to discuss and highlight the critical role toilets play in whisking poop out of our lives, the impact toilets have, or lack thereof, in the health and wellness of humanity, and what ZuLoo is doing to help solve the current global sanitation crisis.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the ZuLoo Pōōdcast. We are so excited to have you listening in today. I'm particularly thrilled because we've got the unofficial, official Duke of Dookie, Cray Rawlings, with us.
The Duke of Dookie.
Thank you. Come from very far.
Yeah.
Cray is a longtime family friend. And Cray, you're on the show purely for entertainment. We're so excited to hear some of your international, potty stories is really the core of today's episode.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
hence the title Duke of Dookie.
Duke of Dookie. We'll probably ask for some very personal stories and maybe just some urban legends. I don't know. We'll see what comes up.
I'll make something up.
We'll ask our listeners whether that was fact or fiction, have people weigh in.
That's right. Mostly true.
Mostly true, mostly not true. Yeah. I love it. Well, Darin, let's hop into some Poo-News. What did you discover or learn?
Yeah, so I knew Cray was coming on the podcast, and you've got depths of experience in Zimbabwe, Africa, right?
Indeed.
Maybe tell us a little bit about your background. What you spent 2 years, and where were you? You were in Zimbabwe, and where else?
I served a mission for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and I was called to Zimbabwe, but I didn't get a visa immediately. So I was reassigned to Johannesburg in South Africa for 6 months.
Okay.
And then, spent time on the streets of Johannesburg and all over Zimbabwe.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that you'd been in Johannesburg first and then you were in Zimbabwe.
Oh, yeah. I didn't know if I was ever going to go to Zimbabwe.
Really?
Yeah.
Dang.
So,
because Zimbabwe is sort of landlocked, right? Is it landlocked or is it?
It is, yes.
Okay.
It is.
And South Africa kind of surrounds it. And
it's underneath it. There's like Botswana and like Mozambique.
Okay. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it. So then you finally, after 6 months, got a visa to Zimbabwe.
I did, yeah.
And then was that a different cultural experience between the two, or was it more of the same?
It was different because I was in downtown Johannesburg, like in the city.
Yeah.
Which was like an urban kind of craziness, trash, tons of people, crazy high rises. And then to a more rural Zimbabwe, which is a little more laid back, a lot of open space.
Yeah.
So you're in the bush, so to speak. Yeah.
Yeah, not really. I was more in the brick house, more like.
Awesome.
But you've also been to Ghana. I mean, it wasn't in that same time period, but you have also traveled to Ghana, right?
Yeah, I went and did, we went to a research group and a professor, and we worked with NGOs and different nonprofits and some of the ministries there just on kind of teaching them to do statistics and how to make data-informed decisions, help them with some of the problems they're facing, that kind of thing, helping get funding.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so I've been to Ghana twice to do that.
You ever feel like you're just going to end up in Africa somewhere?
I've had dreams.
Have you?
Where I've woken up and I was like, oh, yeah, I'm not there anymore. But we'll see if I end up there.
Hopefully, were they happy dreams or were they nightmares?
Happy, stressy dreams.
Okay. That's awesome. That's great.
Well, if you ever go there, that we'll probably go there with you.
Yeah.
Christian is almost Velcroed to your side. So
yeah, I'll build a shack for us both.
Little compound. We'll start a little compound together. That's how our ZuLoo office is going to start in Africa. We're saying it now.
I know. Zimbabwe is on my list for sure.
Oh, yeah. I'd love to go there again.
We went to Nigeria in November, and we're, just tip of the iceberg there.
Oh, yeah.
So, but in the Poo-News, we've got an issue, and maybe you could speak to this. This is a recent open toileting plagues cities in Zimbabwe. I mean, I don't know why this is news. This has probably been
open toileting. Sorry,
they call it open toileting.
Oh, toileting.
Okay. Crapping outside.
I hadn't heard the term toileting before.
Instead of open defecation, it's more open toileting.
Okay.
This article is about. It's also it's just kind of an update on the conditions in Zimbabwe of certain cities. This is Epworth, Zimbabwe. Okay. Is that a major city or major town?
Well, there's few. So everybody in Zimbabwe comes from a village. Out in the middle of nowhere, and they're varying sizes and stuff like that. Then that's what you would think of like in movies of Africa, like huts and fetching water and kind of stuff like that. But most people move to the cities to work.
Okay.
And so Epworth is like a village outside of the main city of Harare.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Yeah. And this article is mainly talking about, this is the Zimbabwean online magazine. This is November, just last year. And it's just basically saying that a lot of the public toilets are out of order in the towns, which is a cause for concern. And which obviously the public toilets aren't working. It's kind of like San Francisco, right? Where do they go, Kelsey?
Go right in the street.
They just go right in the street, right? So
pop yourself a squat.
So obviously some of the urban slums, one called Munando. Does that ring a bell?
Munando. I've never been there.
Munando. Anyway, just basically talking about the challenge that they're facing, lack of water as well, causing open defecation. Did you see when you were there any of that, or what was that like?
I kind of looked at the article a little bit, and it sounds like things have gotten much worse.
Oh, no.
So I was there, and I left, and so I was there 2013 to 2015.
Okay.
And kind of looking over that article, I was kind of astounded at how bad it's gotten.
Oh, no.
Because
what was it like while you were there?
Well, while I was there, like, you knew if there was like a public like shop with like a bar attached to it, like there would be a bathroom there that would be just overflowing with poop.
Oh.
But like in the city, at least, like there was a little bit of like, oh yeah, you could go to the bathroom at like a grocery store or something like that, and it would be normal.
Okay.
There's like malls and things like that. It's not a big problem, but it sounds like even in the cities and stuff like that, it's getting just as bad as.
Yeah. Well, they were talking about the, a lot of the government funding to maintain some of these toilets or just have dried up.
Yeah.
And so that's causing the problem. Right.
Yeah. I mean, you think post 2022, where's your government funding going? What's the global pressure to start channeling funds into? And your municipalities, it's not likely to be waste management. It's likely to be public health, which you would think sanitation hand in hand. But when we're COVID focused, right, we're thinking about food droughts. How do we get food to people who are in their homes? How do we get work? And so I can see how that could slide very easily. And unfortunately, sanitation issues slide very quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it kind of compounds with the water issue. Water shuts off there all the time.
Does it?
And like pipes are breaking and cracking. And so a lot of people are getting them from wells if they're lucky. And so it's like, yeah, if you can't even get water, how are you going to get like a sewage system flowing?
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
So it's a problem within a problem.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing I thought of is, there are a lot of Asian towns too that seem very urban, very metropolitan, very developed. But there's still the issue of open defecation or open urination. And I think my brother went to some province in China. He was there volunteering for a couple of months. And one thing that really shocked him in his travel, I mean, pretty sure this is his first time going to Asia. Anyway, he was like, I remember stepping out of my apartment, which was in a really developed area. And it was like a high-rise apartment. He goes, I stepped out of my apartment and I watched some guy just drop his pants and poop in the gutter. And like, even though this guy was probably like outside his house.
Yeah.
You know, so part of it is like an access thing. Another part of that is a development thing. Another part of that is just a cultural thing.
Mm-hmm.
And especially in areas that are continuing to develop, this is the way that things are done. And sometimes there's just no like shame about it because there's an ignorance that I don't know if ignorance is the right word.
You got bigger fish to fry at least.
Yeah. Yeah. You know,
like,
it's
I don't know what I'm going to eat tonight. Like,
it's okay if I can just pop a, I got to go. But I think there are cultural elements is what I'm trying to get at there too.
Definitely.
Yeah. What else, Darin? What else is in the Poo-News?
Well, yeah, they talked about the lack of water because, these are flush toilets, right? And if you don't have water to flush them, then, then they close them. And then people are forced to use that are, they're talking about beer halls and other places that they would go. They would just go behind trees or walls or wherever, obviously high density, high problems. And, you saw that in San Francisco when you were there too. So,
yeah. I think you see that a lot too. And I'm thinking about my friends in LA and all the flooding that's happening right now too. And not just in LA, but in central and northern parts of California. And you think of the homeless areas, right? The compounds there where the unhoused are staying. And that's got to be a big issue.
Yeah.
It's got to be a huge issue. That, I mean, we're trying to tackle homelessness, and there's a sanitation problem on top of that. And then, I don't know, climate. And it's just like, whew.
Yeah, I'm thinking back. I'm getting a vision for something now that we're talking about it. This might be a little graphic.
Bring it on.
Was this a dream or is this really happening?
This really happened.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, so while I was there, because you're talking about beer halls, so there'd be like kind of little hubs of tons of people where people are selling stuff, and it's like houses are a little bit further back, but there's like a little shop, right? Mm-hmm. And like a beer hall. And so there's tons of people there. And there's like one bathroom. And so I was like desperate for a toilet one of those times.
Oh, one of those times.
And like, normally you kind of knock on somebody's door and say, hey, can I use your bathroom? And then you apologize for what you did to their poor house. I'd done that a few times, but I was like, you know what? Like, this isn't working. And so I was like, okay, let me go to this like beer hall or whatever. And I was like looking around for the bathroom and I couldn't find it. There's like people everywhere. And I was like, dude, somebody's got to know where to relieve yourself here. Anyway, so it looked like almost like a prison cell, like a block of prison cells.
Oh no.
Outside. And so I like walked around the corner and the guy's like, oh yeah, it's in there. And I was like, the dark, unlit like prison cell. And so I was like, okay. And so I walked in there kind of tentatively. There's no lights. And it was literally just like, there was like some stalls that were set up, but with no doors. Like 2 of the stalls had been broken down and they each had a toilet, but like you couldn't see the toilet. So like, it was literally like
covered with
a mountain,
like chocolate covered.
Yeah.
Oreo.
Just like a mountain of poop on these toilets. And it was like enough, like what you're saying, like enough people are just like, yeah, like I come here every day and I sell whatever tomatoes. Mm-hmm. And like everybody poops on the mound of poop. And so like, why would I do any different? Like if I'm going to be like a moral paragon and be like, I'm not going to poop on the stack of poop today. Like it doesn't do you much good because you don't have any other options.
That is so your option.
This is all I got, might as well just keep doing it. So
you just added to the stack?
You just added, it was a miracle. I was like, how did somebody even squat and get it on top of this? It was so tall.
I know.
Like, I'm like, how are they getting it on? I was miraculous how they were getting it like on top.
Yeah.
Still, it must have been like a really tall guy or They're like, oh,
because it gets higher
bring the
and
ladder.
higher.
You're like, you're gonna need a ladder to go to the bathroom.
It's a challenge, right? A poop challenge.
Anyway, so I didn't go to the bathroom there, to say the least.
Oh, I thought you wanted to. I thought we were leading to yes, you
Well,
did.
no.
I thought you were going to put it on top of the top, the tippy top,
I just wasn't
on your tippy toes.
I just wasn't like at my peak athletic performance. Like I was not.
You couldn't jump that high.
Yeah, do a split on top of it. I don't know.
Well, next time that happens, right? You need to look for. This is also in the Poo-News.
Mm-hmm.
You guys have seen like fly trap plants, right? That eat.
Yeah. What are those called? A
Venus
flytrap.
And there's other sort of like larger carnivorous plants, right? That eat, whatever falls into it, it's going to, dissolve it, right? So this is a species of carnivorous plant that has evolved into eating poop.
What?
Yeah. And it prefers poop to anything else. It's
is this native to Africa?
This it's a species of carnivorous pitcher plant, Nepenthes, is switched from capturing and digesting insects to absorbing poop for its daily dose of nutrients.
Nature does adapt.
I know. And
very cool.
Could I have this as like a house plant, or like what are we talking?
Yeah, it looks kind of
change your toilet for a plant.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I like variety.
It's
litter box begun. Here we are.
I've got it right here. It's let's see. This is a picture of it. I mean, it looks kind of freaky, like you wouldn't want to accidentally fall into it.
Or poop in it.
It's
I'm very scared of that.
Yeah, so it shows.
How large is it? That looks large.
It shows a big. I mean, that's like
it looks like a melted.
That's
Starburst.
like a regular like human-sized poop right there.
Oh my gosh!
Right?
Oh,
And
there's poop in there.
Yeah, that's a piece of poop you're seeing right there. And look how big it is.
It's huge.
It looks like a natural toilet.
Yeah, it really does.
Yeah, and it says it's evolved into a toilet.
Wow.
These are the plants that are going to like take over the world. And they're the monsters that we didn't know we were creating.
I'm going to domesticate them and I'm going to sell them.
Yeah. So, I mean, if everyone had one of these in their house, you just don't want the family cat to fall in accidentally.
Here we are on ZuLoo talking to all these geniuses trying to solve the environmental issues using, incinerating waste and turning it into fertilizer. And here we have a natural solution. Why are we going through all this effort?
Yeah, so this is it's a species of plants that have developed this ability to just absorb it, and they say that I guess the nitrogen capture is 2 times greater than capturing anything else. So it prefers the poop.
So what's the downside here? I'm looking for a con. Why isn't this accessible to the world?
You might lose
there's not very many. There's not very many of them, right? It's kind of a rare species, right?
Oh, okay.
And they say that it's one of those evolutionary things.
Where is this? This is in Africa? This plant exists?
This plant is, I don't know where this plant is.
We'll find
But it looks like an African plant, right? It looks pretty exotic.
It does.
I would say.
Amazonian.
It doesn't say exactly where this plant can be found.
This is somebody's just house-trained plant. They've just got a little bored during COVID and trained their plant.
This one is in Australia.
Australia.
Oh.
Right?
Okay.
Yeah, so if you're in Australia and you if your toilets aren't working, you could get one of these plants,
Wow.
Wonderful.
I've learned so much today.
Yeah. So you should, maybe get one.
Okay, import that. I'll put that on my...
But you got to feed it, right? You can't just...
Well, yeah, that'd be cruel.
Yeah, you got to keep putting stuff into
die.
it. Yeah. So anyway, that's the Poo-News.
I love it. That's so good to know. Well, I want to know from Cray a quick snap poll.
All right.
Are you ready for a quick snap poll?
I don't know what a snap pole is.
A snap pole is first instinct. What are you going to do?
Okay.
Yeah, more or less. Did I describe that right?
Yeah,
Darren?
exactly right.
Yeah,
Okay, I feel like I should close my eyes for this.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
Close your eyes.
Okay.
All right.
Do you use? You're out in the wilderness.
Yeah.
You use a stick with a sea sponge attached to it. Clean yourself up, or your own hand. Sea sponges are not soft.
Oh. And I just find one.
Yeah. The gods have equipped you.
Is there water nearby?
There's not, because you're in Zimbabwe in a dusty.
Oh, man. I would probably do the sea sponge. Is it going to damage me?
I don't know. Only your experience can tell.
Because I don't know that. I think I would do the sea sponge because I don't know that I want to walk around with poo hands for an undisclosed amount of time.
I think that was an easy snap pole. It's too easy.
That's right. Okay, would you rather use like if you had to wipe yourself with some sand?
Sand or a sea sponge?
Or you have some maybe some leaves. What would be better?
What? Would anybody choose the sand?
Well, Darin has.
Have you done that before?
I've actually I've used sand.
I'm just curious, Darin, how that worked.
Want to tell you the story of me in the sand dunes?
No, I don't know the story.
At emergency. Well, back in the college days, have I shared this story before?
All your toilet stories have happened while you were in college.
Yeah, well, this is before.
It's not a good college experience.
This is before I kind of figured out that there's certain foods that I could eat and not eat.
Right.
I wasn't conscious of my bowels. I saw food, I ate it, whatever.
Thought you were superhuman,
and
as we all do.
I thought everybody pooped mid-meal. It's kind of like halftime. Time out, gotta go. No, so I was up at Rick's College, used to be called Rick's College, BYU, Idaho now. And they have these sand dunes not too far out of town.
Right.
And people go out there and they do bonfires and, just hang out and have fun.
Right.
So, I was like, we'll go out there and all of a sudden, we're in the middle of nowhere, these sand dunes, and I had to go. And it's immediate, Yeah,
not one of those that you can just suppress until you get home.
Not one that I can I think I can. No, it was like I knew I was in trouble.
Uh-oh.
And I was hanging out with this girl, and I don't know, kind of dating, and
there's always a girl involved.
There's always a girl involved. And she's like, "Are you feeling okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm great. I'm great." So I was like, I've got it. I'm just going to lose it in my pants. I just can't hold it. Right. So I just started walking away from the bonfire in the dark. And, there was a little moonlight, and I thought, I could kind of see my way through the scrub. Or no, there wasn't really any scrub.
Yeah,
it was just sort of like sand dune, right?
It's really just mountains of
I was just
sand.
kind of walking and hoping that I wasn't going to fall in a hole or off a cliff or something, and I just walked as far as I could until I turned back, and until the bonfire was like this little speck, because I knew it was like far away. And
she's like, wow, this date is not going well.
and so there in the middle of God's country, I just sort of, dropped my pants and boom, let it all go. And
good thing sand is so absorbent, right?
And then then I like, okay, well, now I've got to go back, and because we all drove out in this truck together, and I'm thinking, okay, I can't just leave my pants here. I actually had to take off my pants. I took off my pants because otherwise I was afraid to get poop on my pants, right? So I take my pants all the way off.
Right.
You're on a date, pants.
And so then I'm like, okay,
essential.
well, and it wasn't when it's explosive like that. It's not like a clean break, right? And I was like, okay, I know there's just, I couldn't see, but I could feel it. It was like, I knew it was not pretty.
Yeah.
And so I just can't put my pants back on. I didn't have any like lamb's ear, or I didn't have a stick with a sponge.
No sagebrush anywhere.
Yeah. No, just pure sand, right? And so I'm just like, and I didn't want to get it on my hand either. Like I'm like, if I grab a handful of sand, I'm gonna get it on my hand.
Yeah, it's not even gonna help.
And so I just
sat in it,
sat down.
It's
and started dragging my butt through the sand.
Dog.
You know? And I drag, and I'm like, and then I'm thinking, hopefully I don't hit a cactus.
Oh, yeah.
You know, or something, you know, but anyway, I got good coverage, I think.
Yeah.
And then I just put my pants back on and walked back to the bonfire. And I got back, and the girl was like, "Hey, where have you been? We've been like, where'd Darin go? Where'd Darin go?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I was just going out checking out the moon over there." and then on the way back, I'm thinking, you know, I don't know if I still got residue back there or not.
Yeah.
And so anyway, I sat in the back of the truck, and she's sitting in the cab, and she thought I was like dissing her, like, "Well, you don't want to sit by me now? You want to sit in the back?" And she kept on saying, "Oh, here, sit by me. And I'm like, "No, I'm good. I'm sitting in the back," you know? And so
it's for
she's
your
like,
own good.
"All right." And so I don't think she called me back after that. You know, I thought anyway, so I got back to I just went straight to the showers, you know, and just took my pants off and took a shower, you know, and all the sand was going down the drain.
All the memories, but none of the pain.
All the shame.
Yeah.
Washed away.
Yeah. So anyway, I had used sand.
Yeah. Okay. I didn't know that was possible, but now.
But I thought
now I believe.
because I thought it was sort of like, you know, kitty litter, same idea,
Oh,
right? Because you know, highly absorbent. Anyway,
I wouldn't have thought to sit down, to be honest,
Yeah.
when you're describing it. So that was actually pretty smart on your end.
yeah,
Yeah,
it was
good
kind of
stuff,
animalistic, but you know,
But you do what you got to do for our viewers and our listeners. Our producer's losing it in the corner.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I did an accidental pun.
Accidental pun.
Oh,
Smart on
yeah.
your end.
Good thing
with
we
the
got.
drums.
Good catch.
Anyway,
Good catch,
but
Trevor.
yeah, so sand is an option.
Sand is an
I
option.
never got. I don't think she ever returned my calls after that
I'm not bitter about it because we love Shannon.
because I didn't. Yeah,
She
I
wasn't the one.
felt like
She
I needed to
wasn't the
explain
one.
myself because I was sort of like acting a little weird. But
Yeah.
you know, when you got to go, you're acting weird.
You
right?
got to go. You're acting
Anyway.
weird. Which brings me to my question for Cray, which is we need to know maybe your most humiliating potty story. Not just from your time in
Oh.
Africa, maybe.
My
but
whole life.
maybe your whole life. Because that we got to make Darin feel a little bit better.
It was not my most humiliating. That was sort of
Oh,
that was sort of like
exotic.
one of many, but enough for this time.
For this time.
Man, I don't know if I've just blocked it out because it was traumatic
Oh, no.
or what, but geez. I mean, I'm thinking like your story is making me thinking about like one time at scout camp when I like was so nervous about being found out that I was pooping outside
Oh,
that
yeah.
I was like, oh, I'm going to go climb that rock face so that I can like seclude myself.
Yeah.
And then like 30 minutes passed and I was like up like hundreds of feet in the air. And then I was like, oh, okay, that's a good rock. And then I like looked down and everybody's like little like specks down there. It's like, oh, I kind of overdid it a little bit.
Yeah.
But anyways, you were smart to take your pants off. I ended up just getting everything on everything. You know?
Oh,
So then I had to
no.
hike down just wet.
With all the poop and everything.
Just like, yeah, just a little bit of something on my pants, you know? And so
Try to play it off. It's a little bit of stinky
Was
mud.
that your only pants on the scout trip?
I think so. But honestly, I think by the time I got down, I was dry. So nobody knew except for me.
Yeah. It's funny how the scouts, I used to take scouts on trips and stuff, and they never could smell themselves, but you know, I could. I'm just like, roll the windows down, man.
A stinky
What's
bunch.
going on? Anyway, but hey, thanks for coming on the show.
It's a pleasure. I'm glad
yeah.
to be here.
Yeah.
Great. Glad to know that not only do you maybe have some domestic, toilet experience, but also you're well traveled and, you could educate any of our listeners on what to expect in many a country, but maybe most particularly in Africa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a versatile pooper. I will say that.
And Darin's resourceful. You guys make a great team.
Yeah. I mean, not so much that I would, stand on top of a poo mountain,
Yeah.
but, I've done some deep squats in my time.
I love it. Thanks, Cray, for coming on the show and bringing your light and your joy. It's been a pleasure to have you.
Glad to be here.
Thanks, listeners, for tuning in this week. Remember to share, like, and subscribe to the podcast. We're stoked that you're here and stoked to continue to tackle the global sanitation crisis together. So we'll see you next week.
Thank you for listening to the ZuLoo Pōōdcast. Follow us on social media at our links in the show notes below. To learn more, visit our website, ZuLoo.org. If you liked the podcast, be sure to subscribe, like, and comment. For even more ZuLoo fun, send us an email with your toilet stories to podcast@zuloo.com for a chance to be featured on the podcast. This episode of the ZuLoo Pōōdcast is sponsored by ZuLoo Inc., a benefit corporation dedicated to the goal of universal access to toilets, hygiene, clean water and sanitation through the power of social enterprise. Learn more at ZuLoo.com.